Hey everyone, what's up? Yeah, I thought I'd come on here, and as you can see, the title of the live stream here, it is basically speculation on what season 9 is going to be like from what we have heard and was uh, reported by, uh, excuse me, what was reported by Equestria Daily and some of the associates. In fact, I read this off recently. I think it was yesterday I read this off. But basically, a lot is going to be happening. It looks like with with the new season, a lot's going to go down, if you will. With like I said, with the new season, and I guess one of, if not one of the biggest items to come out of this news, because again, Equestria Daily did report that they don't have all that. We can't really confirm it, that they can't really confirm anything because uh even though people are telling, even though they're finding out all this information through tweets and all that, they can't really confirm anything because of the fact that it's only through tweets. You're only getting the information. They're only getting the information they got through tweets. So yeah, it's kind of sketchy for them uh, to provide. It's kind of sketchy for them, even though from what they understand, what the information they're getting is from a very very reliable source that's there. So, oh, sorry, my mic's over here. But yeah, sorry about that. But basically, it's from a very reliable source that's there that was or still is there at the Licensing Expo in Las Vegas. So the people that are there, have been tweeting a lot of information to sites like Equestria Daily and several others to kind of let them know what's being talked about and what's being announced. I'm pretty sure that when we get into the next season or so, and not into next season, but as we get more so into the summer portion of convention season, we'll probably get more information as we get close to San Diego Comic Con and the closer we get to BronyCon, stuff like that. So we'll probably get more information as time lets on, so that we can get a better idea of what's in store for the show, for the characters, for the overall story arc, stuff like that. When the ninth season, potentially with is being dubbed as the final season, commences. You know, it's taking care of something here. But yeah, it's basically we really don't know exactly what they got in store. That's 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 the thing. We don't really know what they got in store, as besides the information we're getting. From what we understand, from what I understand, um, from what I understand, this season is going to be 26 episodes, just like this one and previous seasons have been. It's going to be 26 episodes. So, that's a good sign to at least know that they're going to continue that trend and give more time for a story to be told, even if it's like towards the end of the season's run. Um, because all we know essentially is um, basically for all we know, like I said, the one of the okay, what has been announced is, and I'm sorry if I pronounced this wrong, Gorgon or Grogar is going to be the primary antagonist. We don't know if he's going to be season long. We don't know if he's going to be at the end of the season. We really don't know. Um, all we know is he's going to be showing up. We know that. Um, that's all we know is he's going to be showing up, and him showing up obviously is a big deal. I don't know how much of a bigger deal he is than Turek was, but apparently he's a big deal. I have to go back and watch probably the episode or so that he was in the original to see exactly why people feel this guy is a big deal to have in Gen 4, especially with the potential of what he could bring to the table. I mean, if we saw what they could do with if potentially we saw what they could do with Turek in the season 4 finale, then one can only wonder exactly what they're going to do with Gor, Gor, Grogon on um, in the season 9, if not the series finale next year. One can only wonder that because it is interesting to see how they will interpretate that or interpretate him in the new series. So it's going to be interesting to see. Be really interesting to see exactly how they interpretate him this time around in this series. Because again, what they proved with Turek is they can do dark villains for the new generation and make them more epic, if not, excuse my language, saying this, God, more badass than they were in the original. And make them feel more like a threat than they were in the original incarnation. So if that's what they're planning to bring to the table with this guy, then I can only I like a lot of fans out there, a lot of Brodies and Pegasisters and all that, can only salivate at the of what we're going to get. I mean, think about it this way. It's been announced today, and I just looked this up on Twitter, hashtag Boba Fett. Boba Fett is getting a standalone film that's finally been announced. So you can only imagine how much fans are going to anticipate how they're going to portray Boba Fett in his own movie. Is it going to be origin? Is it going to be during? Is it going to be in the middle of? Excuse me, in the middle of the first original trilogy? What's it going to be, and what's it going to be based on? What kind of Boba Fett are we going to get? Stuff like that. The speculation just will run wild. And a lot of people would say, well, hopefully we get a badass Boba Fett, you know. Like, hopefully we get a badass Boba Fett, down the line. And we might. Well, we know we might get a badass Boba Fett, but the thing is, what I'm saying here is the fact that when you look at season 9 and the fact that you're going to get this guy, this villain that people have been wanting to see, and again, they're just going by off, you know, they're just going off of sorry, I had to do something. But again, like I said, they're just going off of what they're hearing from the licensing expo, and potentially what's going to be. That's all they're getting right now. Let me check something here. Oh, sorry, I had to hit my hand on something. My stream's coming through clear. I don't know what they were talking about. Um, but yeah, it's but yeah. In fact, let me look it up real quickly, and I can give you a better idea. Give you guys a better idea of what I'm talking about here. Oh, I'm just trying to see something here. Here we go. Right here, I found it. But this is the information we got from the licensing expo. Again, I read this in the last video, but it says we're getting 26 episodes. We're getting 26 episodes total. Grogar, I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong, arrives from Tartarus to cause trouble. We get a special 200th episode planned. So that's all we got. And the speculation is when, like with Grogar, when does he show up? When does he become a threat with to Twilight and her friends? That's the big question, is when does he become a threat? And we really don't know, honestly. we we really don't know when he becomes a threat. Um, for all we know, you know, hopefully that doesn't do anything, but we'll see. My Windows wants to keep updating. I don't know. I don't know if it's a small update or what, but anyway, hopefully it won't do anything in the next hour or so because I turned it off. Um, but yeah, we don't know how much of a threat he's going to be. I mean, apparently people are saying that. The way people set him up. I mean, Silver Quill set him up in that collab he did with I Love KP a lot, and basically they set it up there was he's a huge threat. He's something that is he's basically a bigger threat than Turek. And if you're treating this guy as a bigger threat than Turek, then you better make him more powerful than Turek in some way. You better make it to where Twilight can hit him with all the magic she can. The princesses combined can hit him with all the magic that they can, and he just shrugs it off like, really? Ain't nothing. One finger, beep, you're done. They better make him a threat like that. I mean, imagine how badass that character could be. I mean, think about it. You could have the Royal Guard, and I know Josh Scorcher doesn't like to hear this, but you could have the Royal Guard try to go at him, and all he has to do is just wave, just like that, whee, and they're done. I mean, the way they talk about this character is he's like the Thanos of Friendship is Magic, of My Little Pony, and if that's the case, I can only imagine. I can only speculate that this guy's going to get set up as sort of hopefully maybe a seasonal villain. And what I'm talking about is the fact that we set him up at the beginning and we go old school. We just go traditional Saturday morning old school with this villain. It's like every other episode, or maybe every episode, you focus on the main seven, and the friends trying to defend Equestria and Canterlot from this guy. We go, like I said, we go old school here. That's the way I would set them up. But because because it's like if you're portraying this guy as, like I said, the Thanos of MLP or the Galactus of MLP, I don't know how else you can make him any more of a threat than to basically make him the kind of villain that just nothing. It's gonna take very powerful magic or whatever to defeat this guy. It is. I mean, you want to establish him as a badass? Have Discord go up against him, and I know I Love KP a lot won't like to hear this, but have Discord go up against him. Discord hits him with probably the most powerful magic a God of Chaos could, and Gorgar just shrugs it off. Like, hey, really? I mean, basically, you give it that feel like, oh, did he do it? Did he defeat him? And Gorgar's just standing there like, really, Discord? That's all you got? That ain't nothing. Bing! You're done. Back to stone you go. I mean, make him that kind of a threat. Heck, make him a threat to where he's able to do that to someone like Discord, turn him back to stone, and just, even though it would be temporary, and if not for the story arc, have him shatter the Discord stone. Make it show that he has no mercy. He does not care if he's turned you to stone or whatever. He to make sure the job is done, he'll shatter you, even if it's a temporary displacement or death or whatever. That is something that I think they need to, really look into as far as this season goes. this upcoming season, you're gonna build this guy up to be the threat you want him to be. This is how that's in my opinion, that's the way of doing it. But the question is, when do you start building up this threat? To me, I think they need to start building it up right at the end of this season. I mean, you pretty much have the synopsis. I don't want to give much away, but there's a synopsis out there for the finale that says the girls end up trapped in Tartarus or end up some way in Tartarus. And honestly, that should be the foundation. That should be the starting point. You know, that right there should be the starting point. You know what I'm saying? That right there should be the starting point. That right there should be the end. Here's what I'm looking at. I don't want to give much away because the episode hasn't even premiered yet. But but I would close. You know how I talk about cliffhangers, right? You know, kind of post credit. Oh, post credit. Okay. Post credit, whatever. I look at it this way. I look at it this way. You present this guy as a threat that I mentioned that he potentially, and a lot of people feel he could be. But you started out with a post-credit scene at the end of the season 8 finale. You have obviously some kind of, I don't know what celebration it's going to be. If it is, we don't know. But then you have it kind of crossfade over back to Tartarus. And then you hear this, and then somehow you hear this maybe maniacal laugh or something. And some kind of line is spoken, like either being finally free or whatever. And out steps Grogar. Out he steps from maybe the shadows of some kind of dimensional limbo prison within Tartarus. Out he steps. And that's how you end season 8, and thus you lead into season 9. That, to me, would get people excited for that season. It would get them excited to want to see that happen. It would. Potentially, I believe it would, because when you think about it, like I said, you want to establish this guy as a threat. You want to establish this guy as a threat. This is the best way to probably do it. Right here. This is the best way to probably do it. You establish him as a threat by ending season 8 sort of with a post-credits cliffhanger that leads you into season 9. That to me would be huge. That to me would be huge. Now, speaking of season 9, you got 26 episodes. Where do you go with it? Well, I've already given in many audio videos, on-camera videos, and all that, and even texts, and even typed up messages that I put on forums and all that. I've already given my thoughts on how they should do it. You know, they should use the beginning of the ending of the second part of the season 9 premiere as a foundation to build with every other episode towards that finale. And they should bring in they should do exactly what Silver Quill and KP kind of suggested in their collab. Bring in Majesty from G1 and make her be like this rogue alicorn that believes the only way you could defeat evil is to vanquish it once and for all. And that even includes those that you believe you're given a second chance to. You should just be rid of them permanently because there's no way of giving them a second chance. There's no way they could be given a second chance. I mean, that to me, right there, would be something that would be interesting and nice to see. That would be something that would really make the final season intriguing, because then you could have Majesty be one of the obstacles that gets in Twilight in the way to try to save Equestria, because she's doing all this stuff that she believes is right and doesn't realize what she's doing is wrong. You know, she doesn't notice that. She doesn't, assess that, if you will. She doesn't assess what she's doing is wrong. So that, like I said, you could use her arrival, if you will, as, like I say, that building block to the finale of season 9, if not the series finale. You could do that. The other way I think they could do it as well is to take a page, like I said, out of the playbook of X-Men the Animated Series. I just mentioned how you could have season 8 end on a cliffhanger that would lead you into season 9 by having Grogar walk out of the shadows of a long imprisonment, now free and able to wreak havoc and all that. You could still do something like that. But you can have them maybe do a message. Like, after the dust is settled, you have them basically talk about, what's happened and all that, and reflect on what's going on. And then maybe you could either have Celestia or Twilight basically look across the students, look across the main 7, and then slowly pan over to Rarity as they're doing it and say that the fight for friendship has just begun. And it zooms in on her, and then maybe you get this crossfade over to Tartarus, where it kind of slowly zooms up into the sky to them, zoom up to the sky, above Tartarus, and then words come out saying, coming next season, Nightmare Rarity. That could be something, because that could be interesting, and that too, as a cliffhanger, can bait the fan base to want to see what happens in season 9, because now you're adapting one of the most prolific story arcs that the IDW comic, if not the franchise itself, has done. So, so that in itself could be really intriguing in the long run. It really could be. I mean, I'm not saying they would do it, but speculation-wise, you want to start potentially your final season on a hot note. This way is the way to do it. You want to end your current season on a cliffhanger and a high note, going either way that I mentioned, that makes it a cliffhanger and makes fans anticipating and just salivating and wanting to see season 9. That's a way of doing it as well. But with that said, it's mere speculation of how things are going to happen. I come out here and I say that season 9, if it's the final season, potentially is the best way, is potentially the best opportunity you have if you're a MLP shipper, or if you're part of the creative staff, and that fans, your overarching fan base, bronies, Pegasus, wherever, want to see these romantic ships take place or something become official. Season 9, if it's the last season, potentially to me is your best opportunity to do that. Rarity and Spike, Cheese Sandwich Pinkie Pie, Sora and Dash, or Flash Magnus Dash, you name it. To me, it is the best opportunity you have. And I truly believe, and I know I sound like I repeat myself a lot when I say it, but I truly believe season 9 is going to have Sparity become an item. Rarity and Spike become an item. And I don't know how they're going to do it, but they're going to find a way around it. What's funny is I was thinking to myself earlier, what if they do an episode? We got Father Knows Beast later on this season. What if they use that as the catalyst into another episode for season 9, to where they finally answer this question, to where they finally make Rarity and Spike an item? They can find a way around it. In fact, I was thinking to myself, what if they do an episode with Father Knows Beast, or maybe in season 9, or leads into an episode for season 9, where basically whoever this dragon is, whether it's his father or it's not, says Spike needs to be true to himself. He needs to be true to his real self. And what happens is maybe he encounters, maybe there's a magic spell or something like that that the dragon lets him know about, that lets him, become the true self. Or that maybe there's some kind of spell out there that unlocks one's true self, one's true self, one's true being. And what if this is the way they find a way around it, that spell enables Spike to become a Pegasus pony? Because everybody says he's like a pony trapped inside a dragon's body. Why not let that pony out? And who knows? Maybe they'll do that in Father's No Beast, or maybe they'll do that in season 9. That to me, or at least they'll have something to follow up on in season 9 to do that with. That to me is probably the best way they could find a way around Spike and Rarity, because you know what would happen? Around the whole, how do we get these two together? Because Spike would, if that was to happen in the series, Spike, I know people will say, well, he'd be a little cold, wouldn't he? Nope. He'd be a freaking full-grown stallion. I think that's potentially what's going to happen. I mean, I know some people don't want to hear that, but I think it's a reality. I think it's a flat-out reality that something like that could happen. So, but yeah, season 9 to me, if it's the last season, potentially is the best opportunity they have to go in these directions as far as romantic shippings and all that. I mean, heck, you got Big Mac and Sugar Bell. If if the plan is to make them the Bright Mac and Buttercup, aka Pear Butter, of this generation, then you need to do an episode that's either going to set up to them being married in the finale, which obviously it needs to take place in, or in a special that takes place after the season 9. You need to set something up to where Big Mac's going to pop the question, and it has to be similar, if not identical, in a sense, to maybe what his dad did. I mean, if you're going to draw comparisons and say that they're like the Pear Butter and the Bright Mac of this generation, there you go. I think that's probably the best solution you got as far as this series is concerned. I think it's the best solution you got as far as the series is concerned, to go that route, so that with the finale, if the finale is going to be a huge big deal, you set it up to where not only is this big fight for Equestria on the line, but you also tied into into perhaps the marriage of Sugar Bell and Big Mac. I'm just saying. But if you don't do that and you decide, hey, we'll do that as a special, or heck, we'll just do an episode to where they get married identically to what the parents did, you can go with that too. Because I think the other way you could really get people hooked in with this season 9, especially if it's the last season of Friendship is Magic, but you want to keep this, but you also have a goal of keeping the same fan base going into Generation 5. The best solution to me is, if you're going, like I mentioned earlier, with Grogar, and I'm sorry if I pronounce it wrong, if you're going to make him a big threat, then he needs to be the kind of threat that's capable of anything. I mean, if you're going to make him like the Thanos, why not of MLP? Why not give him a power identical to Thanos, or or have him obtain a power that's identical to what Thanos obtained in Infinity War, a way to warp reality and time and all that. Why not do something at the end? Why not? This is what I'm getting at, and I've talked about it before. Why not? And I think this is the best way they can get people to invest in Gen 5. Why not end season 9, the final season potentially, on a cliffhanger with a white fade out, with the words probably saying, to be concluded in My Little Pony Gen 5, or whatever it's going to be called, or to find out what happens, tune into Gen 5. Not only do you get people invested in Gen 5, not only do you get them invested into wanting to know what happened, but you get them invested enough to tune in to Generation 5's premiere to see the aftermath. because then you could use the opening of Gen 5 as a white fade in, as sort of basically you could use it as a recap tying into Friendship is Magic. And then not only can you use that as not only can you do like a recap back to Friendship is Magic, but then you go from the white fade out that ends the recap right into a white fade in, and you have the main 6 there, main 7, but they notice that a lot of things around them have changed, and not only have things changed, but not only has the environment around them changed, but so have they. Like Twilight can notice, oh my God, where's my wings? Where's my horn? I'm an Earth Pony. And Applejack, maybe with a new voice, so potentially can look around and realize, wait a minute, I look completely different. What's going on? Oh, and I sound different. And Rarity could look at the fact that, oh my God, my horn's longer. I got longer hair. I'm more translucent. Stuff like that. Fluttershy's reaction to being now being a unicorn, and Pinky's to being a Pegasus. Rainbow to being sort of like a Pegasus half hippogriff. Who knows? And Starlight, maybe her reaction to the fact that everybody's changed except me. What the heck? Maybe you're giving her longer hair, longer mane. Maybe her mane's a little longer. Maybe she has eyeshadow and more noticeable eyeshadow. Maybe a bit of light lipstick or whatever. But give her something to where it's like, yeah, she's changed a bit too, but she's more identical to what she was in Gen 4. But yeah, that's another way you can make Gorgar a threat. The fact that he could actually wipe out reality and reshape it, just like Thanos. That to me is probably the best way you could promote a villain as being a big threat. Because if everybody from Silver Quill to KP to Sweetie Bloom to Eliora to Lightning Bliss to Fiery Joker, Josh Scorcher, aka Firebrand, to Aramau, to anybody watching, if they're coming out and building up Gorgar as this big threat, as this massive threat, even more threatening than Turek, then you need to prove that he is. I mean, the way I talked about how they could potentially end season 8 by cross-fading back to Tartarus and having him walk out of the shadows as saying he's now free of the limbo prison or whatever prison kept him there, kept him from escaping from Tartarus. You know what you could do? You could use season 9 as well with an opening similar to maybe season 4's, where both Celestia, to not just Celestia, but Celestia, Luna, Cadence, and Twilight all wake up from the same nightmare, from the same dream, like, oh my gosh, what was that about? Or, like Twilight could be like, oh my gosh, was that who I thought it was? And then you could have Celestia and Luna be like the ones that know exactly who that was. And then, like I said, you could have Twilight, maybe Cadence wake up wondering, is that who they thought it was? And go from there. So, and then like I said, you could build the season off of that. You can build a season off of that. But again, we don't know exactly whether or not he's going to be towards the end, if he's going to be throughout the season, kind of old school, if you will, or if he's going to be at the beginning. We don't know. We don't know what they got in store, but it's just mere speculation. As far as the 200th episode goes, I've already talked about how I feel it should be done. You should have the most popular secondary characters get called, like Lyra, Bonbon, Octavia, Vinyl Scratch, DJ Pone, Moon Dancer, and maybe even Sunset gets called. And heck, that'd be Sunset's first appearance in Friendship is Magic, instead of being the mainstay she is in Equestria Girls, to the point that where she gets called, she looks at her journal and she starts noticing that it's glowing. She's wondering, is Twilight calling me? And then maybe she'll get a message saying, you're being summoned by the friendship map. And she has to go back to Equestria to see what that's about and lead this band of not misfits, but secondary characters on their own friendship mission. And maybe you could tie that into the season-long arc that's going to involve this villain. We don't know. We don't know, but I think that would probably be the best way for them to celebrate it, because if 100 was like a slice of life episode, 200 they're saying it's going to be identical almost. I think that's probably the best way. Then I believe the idea I just came up with is the best direction for them to go in. I really do. Overall, we don't overall we don't really know too much about what season 9 is going to be like, except for, like I said, the news and the rumorish news, as they say at Equestria Daily, of what's been announced, and that's Gorgar 26 being the villain. Whether it's at the beginning, throughout, or at the end, we don't know. That's going to be 26 episodes in total and stuff. So it's gonna be really interesting. It's going to be really interesting to see exactly, like I said, what direction they're gonna go in with season 9, and how they're gonna go, what direction they're gonna go in with this villain. Because again, they're building him. Everybody from fans and now obviously the staff are building this guy up as basically being like the Thanos of Friendship is Magic, and to me that's going to be to me that makes your antagonist, your villain, a huge deal. But the question is, when does he appear? That's going to be the main question people will have. So, but yeah, this is all just mainly speculation on what is being announced and what potentially could happen. So again, it's just mere speculation, and that's all we can go off of right now. So really, that's all I'm going to say on it. Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. I'd like to hear what you guys have to say on this matter. What do you think is going to happen? How do you think she will? How do you think Gorgar will be portrayed, if you will? When do you think? And I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. How do you think he's going to be portrayed? How do you think he's going to be portrayed and treated? When do you think he's going to arrive? Do you think he's going to be throughout the season, at the beginning, or at the end? And do you think the building him up as being like the Thanos of MLP, since everybody has built him up as being more powerful, more threatening than even Turek? So let me know what you guys think down below. How do you think he's going to get into? How do you think maybe we might get an introduction? Do you think maybe we'll get a dream sequence similar to what we had at the beginning of season 4, but this time with all 4 princesses minus Flurry Heart? What do you think? Let me know what you guys think about that. Let me know what you guys think potentially could happen. Do you think we'll finally get? Do you think Hasbro and DHX, the creative staff, will find a way around the whole shipping deal and get Spike and Rarity together? Maybe go the route that I said. Have him find out about a spell that possibly unlocks their true self. Like maybe the true self comes out, and his true self ends up being a pony or a stallion. Let me know what you guys think. Let me know what you guys think of that potential. And what do you think about the 200th episode? Do you think the idea I've come up with is probably the best route for them to go? Let me know what you guys think. And really, that's all I could say. Again, let me know what you guys think. Possibly if they go the route of the similar to what they did with the end of Out of the Past Part 2, where it led into the Phoenix Saga for X-Men the Animated Series. Let me know if you think they're going to do that similar with the ending of Season 8 to lead into Season 9, maybe by doing Nightmare Rarity as the first couple of episodes. Or do you think they'll do some kind of cliffhanger ending where it kind of transitions over back to Tartarus, and we see Gorgar appear out of the shadows, freed from his prison? Let me know what you guys think. And really, and do you think Majesty might show up as well and kind of be like an obstacle, a wild card obstacle that thinks she knows what she's doing is right but finds out it's wrong? Let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. Thank you all for tuning in live. Thank you for tuning in post live after it's been uploaded. But let me know what you guys think down below. Comment if you like. And I'm out.